bill designed to make it easier for the public to get its hands on government documents and other information is working its way through Congress. It's an update of the Freedom of Information Act, commonly referred to as FOIA. You might be surprised to hear what's standing in the way. We recently talked about it with a key advocate, Republican Congressman Darrell Issa.
But the primary changes in this 50-year-old law are based on abuse. News agencies, the public, individuals, nonprofits, all seek this information, including members of Congress, and find themselves paying to be delayed, paying to have highly redacted documents, sometimes redacted based on the highest level of security you can have in Washington, which is unclassified but embarrassing. They routinely simply redact embarrassing.
The Freedom of Information Act is perhaps the most powerful instrument we have for making our government honest and transparent, and of holding it accountable. And I expect members of my administration not simply to live up to the letter, but also the spirit of this law.
President Obama said when he came into office that was to be the standard, the presumption in terms of giving the information to the public.
But this administration, from the beginning, said that they were going to be the most transparent in history, and in many, many ways they've failed. But one of them they failed more than any other way is that they worked behind the scenes to thwart this legislation in the last Congress.
Issa is talking about a 2014 FOIA improvement bill he co-sponsored with Democrat Elijah Cummings. Internal government documents recently revealed the Obama administration, the same one that pushed for unprecedented openness, actually worked behind the scenes to kill the bill. Now Congress is trying again in 2016.
So the reforms, both the House and the Senate, seek to move the bias from we'll find one of these excuses to not give it to you to where the bias is you shall give unless you meet certain high standards.
A new Associated Press analysis of 100 federal agencies in 2015 found the Obama administration set new records for secrecy. It censored material or rejected FOIA requests 77% of the time. That's up 12% over Obama's first year in office.
That's very much at the root of why you want FOIA reform, is that your government will always put out the one part of the information, the part they want to. You need to be able to get the part they didn't want to give you.
Critics also point to the skyrocketing use of the so-called B5 exemption. It lets the government keep secret material that's part of a deliberative process. It's so widely used, it's been nicknamed "withhold it because you want to." In a current FOIA case, I'm suing the government for long overdue healthcare.gov information. Documents slowly being turned over after 2 years look like this. That's a result of the B5 exemption.
We know there are many instances where government bodies don't provide information under the law in the time that they're supposed to. Why aren't they held accountable for that?
Well, this is one of the challenges in FOIA is currently there's no penalty for essentially ignoring, delaying FOIA production. There's not even a recognition of financial impact to the entity asking for it. That's got to change.
The current FOIA reform bill lacks criminal penalties and has been watered down substantially from earlier versions, but it writes into law that presumption of openness that President Obama called for back in 2009. A lead Democrat has said the president will sign it on his way out the door if it reaches the White House, exactly as the Senate recently passed it. It's that time of year. With spring comes the release of the annual report of wasteful government spending. Coming up, we follow the money and highlight some of the areas where lawmakers are still having trouble trimming the fat.